Thank you very much, Dr. Balaji Navle. I hope you can hear me. And I extend a very, very warm welcome to all fellow participants. And thank you, Harish ji, for this honor of connecting me with this international conference in its 20th edition. I had the opportunity to listen to Mr. Damien Walter, and I would like to put certain things in perspective because I also write, and I'm currently looking after both science and technology and art, literature, culture, and archaeology as departments. But if you look at a human being, you will realize that you have the cranial matter, the brain, which has the left and the right hemisphere. The left and the right hemispheres individually deal with creativity, emotions, which is literature, and also the right side deals with what you call rationality, science, logic, mathematics. And it's when the two sides of the hemisphere, the left side and the right side of the brain, come together, is when the body is able to function. So when we talk of science fiction writing, I think what is very important to understand is that the brain, the left side and the right side, just like the brain, the left and the right side can't work in silos. Similarly, science alone, when it comes to science fiction writing, cannot be the torch bearer alone, because you also need what is called communication skills. And Government of India, if you are aware, both in the Ministry of Art and Culture has very recently announced something which is of very interest. They are offering 50,000 to young writers, first-time writers who want to debut in the field, and giving them a monthly stipend of 50,000 rupees. And this entire initiative is being spearheaded by the Ministry of Art and Culture and Government of India. And if you look at a counterpart scheme, which is already available for science PhD students in the Department of Science and Technology in Government of India, it is called the Avsar scheme. So if you bring both these schemes together, I think you can support young budding writers and also kind of spur them into fiction writing. Because that is how the art of communication and the science behind fiction writing will come together. If you chronologically look at how history has evolved over the time, you will find that expression, is any human being's very innate nature. It is something which is inborn. And how have people in earlier times communicated? They have communicated through script, as we see in our own Harappan Valley, which of course is a aerographic and has yet to be deciphered fully. But the Sumerian script, for example, has been deciphered. So people were writing. But what were people doing before they invented writing? They were using a lot of symbols. They were doing what is called rock painting. So in India, you have Bhimbetka as a prehistoric site in Bhopal for rock paintings. You also have similar sites in Bundi. So expression can take the form of art, symbols, writing, communication. It can also be silence. Silence can also be a way of communicating. So what has happened? If you look at, Damien Walter was talking of how a new methodology has come about in the last 200 years. But I'm very sure, because in school I read books by Mary Shelley, who's written Frankenstein, the Frankenstein monster. I read Jules Verne, who wrote about Around the World in 80 Days. And I thought this was all imagination. If you look at the chronological footsteps of history, you will find that with a discovery of fire, you were able to convert raw food into cooked food. And that's how man began to convert from hunters and gatherers to a more sedentary life. That's how the concept of property came into being. That's how the institution of marriage came into being. And you move further and you find, with the age of industrialization, with the steam being discovered, you have steam engine, you have the second age of industry. Today we are talking, in the 80s, we had what you call the IT revolution. Today we are talking of post-corona, the urgency of the digital revolution. We are talking of AI, MI, AR, VR, MR, all those kind of technologies, which are emerging technologies, which have been around, but whose urgencies have become known now. So what is happening? Why do you think all this is happening and where is it leading to? I am both a policy architect because I work in the government, and also I am a writer who writes. I have had the good opportunity of moderating a session by one of India's greatest science fiction writers of modern contemporary times. It is called a duo. They are a doctor duo, friends who go by the name of Kalpesh Ratna. And they have written some fantastic books around science fiction and also non-fiction. I had the opportunity to moderate a session at the Valley of Words. I urge you to read their science fiction because it's very, very interesting how they have used science as a springboard to provoke thought processes in India. But coming to what is the commonality between just writing, write, and whom are we writing for, and why are we writing? When people write science fiction, they are actually doing something which policy administrators do. So what is common, if I ask you, what is common between science fiction writers and policy administrators like me? The one answer is that both of them have to be imaginative enough to be able to anticipate the future. And people say that after the end of this age of digital technology, which we are calling in India as the Industrial Revolution 0.4 version, we will be welcoming the age of imagination. And what is this age of imagination? This age of imagination is what Isaac Asimov or H.G. Wells already anticipated many, many years before. When you talk of the Invisible Man and you have films, which imagine the future, say an Interstellar or say Avatar, what are they trying to tell you? They are trying to tell you they are able to anticipate the immense possibilities that exist in the future. Why they are able to say they exist in the future? Because research is already happening in the past and in the present. As of yesterday, somebody was researching that. But how, also another thing that I would want to point at this stage is that, the commonality between any writer and a scientist or a researcher involves a few components, and that is innate sense of curiosity, because scientists also do a lot of experiment. They have to be curious. A curious child is best displays signs of somebody who can eventually end up either as a writer, artist, or maybe a great scientist, because curiosity is very, very important. The other aspect which is very important is observation. Writers observe, scientists, they do experiments, they are observing all the time. So curiosity and observation are two very, very important aspects of a human personality, to be able to bring these two streams of being able to write and being able to write science fiction, or being able to do research, because writing involves a lot of research. They say, to be able to write a small paragraph requires much more time than being able to write an executive summary, because there is a certain kind of brevity lies in the wit, as they say. So I think what is important also is to be able to observe what is happening in the world around and to extrapolate. And that is science, to be able to extrapolate like the statisticians do with numbers. Here you have to do with your sense of observation, sense of imagination, and also a certain kind of sense of, a sense of fantasy. If you can bring the element of fantasy of how you would like to see the future, and that is what they say. It is very similar to metaphysics, because somebody was talking, I believe people before me were talking about how there is science hidden in mythology. So if I give you just an example, and when we talk of mythology, there is a lot of oral history that has got converted. In fact, even agriculture science that has got converted in what we call festivals of today. Because when we didn't have writing, when we were not able to write and preserve things, what did we do for common masses? We converted things that we wanted to preserve, that we wanted to provide certain legacy to, so that the masses remembered it. we converted it into festivals. So when you break a coconut, when you offer kumkum and haldi to the ground before you sow your first seed, that is actually not just religion, not just oral tradition, but there is a lot of science behind it, right? Uh, and what is the science? That the moment you put all these kind of things in the soil, it acts like a local homemade disinfectant, prevents a lot of your plant bugs capturing your plant and your field. So that is how, of course, there is a very thin dividing line between mythology and science, and one has to be very, very careful on the underbelly and also of technology for that matter. But then science fiction writing is a genre that is like space, like cosmos, and that cosmos basically exists in the abilities of your cranial matter to be able to explore and anticipate and to envision a future. And that is something which is very, very fundamental to how a policymaker works. Because a policymaker should be able to anticipate how the stakeholders, how the governance models will be 5 years down the line, how this policy that is getting implemented with certain objectives and certain outcomes, how it will pan out. So I think writing government policies and writing science fiction kind of have certain similar processes, I would say. And if you are a good anticipator of things, if you can predict the weather of how the future will be, and when I say weather, I really don't mean the barometric or the temperature or the weather in that sense. But if you can, from the flow of things, anticipate how common lives will be, how technology will enmesh our lives and create new kind of interdependencies, interrelations, and if you can weave that in a story, I think you will be able to do fantastic science fiction writing. And you never know, because if you've read Elizabeth Gilbert, she says that we attract ideas. The ideas are also looking for a pen wielder. So I'm sure we are all getting ideas. All we need to do is go out confidently and start writing what we need to do. And I would be very happy, because I saw the mention of the Indian Association of Science Fiction Writing. I will invite, and there is an association in Faizabad, in Kerala, in West Bengal. I'll be very happy. I'll be happy to invite all of you people to come to Jaipur and maybe do a workshop for my budding writers at Jawahar Kala Kendra, with both the departments of science and technology and the Department of Art, Literature, Culture and Archaeology in Jaipur, because it will help budding writers. Also, I would be happy if we could do a session on discussing some of the best science fiction work that has been written, because I think the first step towards encouraging writing in this field, at least in India, because I haven't read much in terms of science fiction writing coming from India, except for Dr. Kalpesh Swaminathan and Mr. Dr. Ishrat, who have been writing under the pen name of Kalpesh Ratna. But apart from that, I haven't read much of fiction writing. I need to probably expose myself. But it will be a good idea to use the schemes of the government, because there is a monetary incentive to help people start writing. It will also help, the media personnel who write stories on science and really don't know how to convert the technical, paraphernalia into interesting stories, because that is the disconnect which is happening between science, the silos of laboratories, and the stakeholders, which is the common citizens. We should be, in fact, COVID has done us all a great service, I would say, by telling people, by bringing the community closer to scientists and telling us how important it is to do and invest in research. So I think science communication by way of science fiction writing can be a very good tool of bridging this gap between the silos of the laboratories where the scientists and researchers work and the society at large. And I think we must definitely, in all the different kind of roles that we play today here and everywhere else, encourage this trend, because I think this trend will also enable us to foresee the future in many ways, and also help government policy making, because of the creativity, because of technology, because of scientific innovations which are happening all around us. I think it will be very, very interesting. There is a lot of emphasis on forensic science. I'm really interested because a lot of crime serials have really interested me all the time, but I don't see quality serials coming up because there is a lack of input. I would also encourage people to come and, maybe a workshop which talks about the various sciences and helps writers to understand science and then write something. And I think whatever DST, Government of Rajasthan, can do to encouraging communication skills, both oral and written, for scientists and even otherwise for writers, I'll be very happy to pitch in my bit. And thank you very much for inviting me for this freewheeling monologue. And I'm happy to answer any questions if there are. My aim as a policy maker is to lay structures, to institutionalize structures, so all the ideas that we have can prosper without personalities being actually present somewhere in the background to monitor and see whether policies need tweaking, policies need more support, policies need more guidance. And so that is my role, and I'll be very, very happy to take up any responsibility that is afforded to DST and the Department of Art, Literature, Culture and Archaeology in the state of Rajasthan. Thank you very much for associating me with this conference and giving me an opportunity to share my views. I look forward to learning from all of you and make note of any interesting ideas that come across that can help budding writers and come together, understand science and write about science fiction and write about the future of humanity actually in many, many ways. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Mugdha Sinha ma'am, for offering intellectual bounty and beauty to this conference. Your wit and wisdom will be very, very helpful. I humbly invite Honorable Harish Yadav sir for a precise dialogue. Only because of your relationship, we are proud of the perpetual relationship between Harish Yadav sirji and Mugdha ma'am, the academic relationship. Harish Yadav sir, please.
Thanks a lot, Mugdha ma'am. I am highly obliged that you came here and delivered the inaugural speech. Friends, I would like to share that Mugdha ma'am is not only a very good administrator, she is also a good orator and a thinker, writer, and besides, she has a lot of interest in paintings. She paints on bottles, and she has also displayed a gallery few days back in Jawahar Kalagate. So she is a multifaceted personality, and as she has invited the science writers to Jaipur, I think this is a very good idea from her side, and maybe Dr. Navle and Dr. Mugdha Sinha will be in touch each other soon, and they will decide something like a workshop or something, a virtual meeting or the real workshop as the days goes or increasing without the COVID. And I think once again, on behalf of all the science fiction community, I thank a lot Dr. Mugdha Sinha. Thanks, madam. Thanks.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for the relationship and the dialogue. We will begin the lecture of Honorable Dr. Bala Phondke sir within the time. Meantime, Dr. Nanda Deshmukh ma'am is here. Ma'am is being requested to unmute and have a dialogue with the resource person, Mugdha Sinha ma'am. Ma'am, please.
A very good morning, Mugdha ma'am. My question to you is, I have a project, major research project in my mind on cultural orientation of gender and a study of biography or autobiography. So how can the government can help me in this regard? So in your speech, you suggested that the government is cultural is going to the upcoming writers. So, and how much time it will take, ma'am? So I'm really very interested, and within a 2 year span, I will be completing this work.
Yeah.
So how can you help me, ma'am? And it was really a wonderful speech to listen to you and your guidance. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Deshmukh. It's very kind of you to be involved. I really appreciate your listening time and for asking your question. Ma'am, I would like to tell you that a committee has been formed. I'm happy to be a part of that committee. The committee is being steered by the director of the Lal Bahadur Shastri Academy at Mussoorie. The committee has been formed by the Human Resource Development Ministry, Government of India, where they are actually spurring budding writers, and they have a tie-up with the National Book Trust. So they are encouraging writers, and they needn't be budding at all. That's the budding scheme is from the Ministry of Art and Culture. That is for young writers, 18 year plus, I think, 18 to 25 years or 35 years is what they are doing. But for people like you who are more established, there is a proposal where they are inviting people who are writing biographies on Indian scientists, the lesser known scientists. So there is a project currently on Indian women scientists, and Government of Rajasthan was very happy to do an entire conference with the Indian Academy of Sciences at Bengaluru with Professor Partha Ghosh sir. And we highlighted the 11 11 pioneering women scientists of India, on whom chairs have been established in India. And we had invited about 13 other contemporary women scientists who spoke about their predecessors and told us about their life. So each of these can get converted into a whole book. Also, what Government of India is encouraging that if you can write novels like the Amar Kathas on say first Indian doctor, right? There is a book which has come up on the earliest doctors, one from Korea, one from one from India, which is already a published book. So Government of India is encouraging, and the National Book Trust will be able to help you actually publish the book. If you are writing, I would say reach out to the National Book Trust. If you want, I can connect you. If you can just send me what you are writing, maybe a little National Book Trust will help you write. Also, if you look at, there is the Department of Science and Technology, Government of India, along with the Vigyan Prasar, on its own website, has a series of publications. So you can either write for the Indian Academy of Sciences, you can either write for the National Book Trust, they can give you a contract, you can write for whatever. But if you're writing anything on science, on Indian women scientists, I think that is likely to get picked up. If you're writing something for children, I would like to suggest to everybody, because I recently read a book on Raja Ravi Verma, written by Dr. Shobha Tharoor Srinivasan. And it's a small, pithy book for children. And I think that is how books for children and books on scientists for children should be written. And this is a project that any of you would like to take up. I'll be happy to support the project, both in Rajasthan and also connect you to people in India. I'll be happy to support it in DST in Rajasthan itself. I'll be able to fund your writing. I hope that helps.